So is the human body capable of healing itself from any disease or injury? Do you believe that?
The human body is naturally in a state of what is called self-regulation, which in biological terms is called homeostasis. So it's our natural state. Now, having said that, there are 5% of what are called disease-related gene mutations, which are fully penetrant, which means at this moment, we do not know how to stop their expression. 5%. In those 5%, there's a one-to-one relationship between the gene mutation. So mutation is an error. It's like a typo in the gene, which is the word that becomes the flesh, so to speak. Those 5%, we at the moment do not understand how self-regulation would work or healing would work. So a good example of that is the gene mutation that Angelina Jolie had for breast cancer. But most gene mutations aren't like that. That includes cancer, that includes autoimmune illnesses, degenerative disorders, and even propensity to inflammation, heart disease, infections. Most of those are influenced by basically how we experience life. And not only how we experience life, but how we interpret our experiences of life.
You say in Super Genes that we're the user of both our brain and our genes.
Yeah,
so can you explain?
So every experience we have, for example, this experience we're having right now of speaking to each other, looking out at this beautiful scenery outside, the ocean, this is a perceptual experience. But you could also be having a mental experience of thoughts, feelings, emotions, desires. Where is this experience happening? Well, the easiest answer is it's happening in consciousness. It's happening in awareness. Where is that consciousness? Now, that's a very difficult question to answer because in science, that's called the hard problem of consciousness. Consciousness being formless, it has no form. Everything material has a form. Your brain has a form, your body has a form, your genes have a form, this microphone has a form, everything has a form. But that in which all this experience is happening, which the word for that is consciousness, that has no form. And having no form, it has no location in space or time. Therefore, a few of us believe that consciousness is not in space-time, that it is projecting itself as the body and as the universe. The body has a brain, which is part of the projection. The body is created by genes. When your parents returned from that picnic and you were conceived as a fertilized egg, that had a form, okay? But the experience is not happening in form. It's happening in a formless, dimensionless consciousness, which is you. So when we realize that, then we see that genes which create the brain and the body, and then, of course, the brain and body are sculpted afterwards through experience. The genes themselves are the repository of experience of our parents and our ancestors going all the way back to the beginning of life. So all this is an activity in consciousness. And so every thought, every feeling, every emotion, every knowing, every perception, every personal relationship, every social interaction, every environment, every bite of chocolate or whatever else you're putting in your body, the fact have enough sleep or lack of, stress or lack of, all that is constantly modulating the activity of your genes right this moment. So eating, breathing, digestion, metabolism, elimination, the world of sensory experience, sound, touch, sight, taste, and smell, and then our inner world of thoughts, feelings, emotions, memories, imagination, creativity, insight, intuition, knowing. All of that is regulating the activity of your genes and the brain, because the neural networks are made of proteins, which in turn are made from DNA and RNA, which is the factory. Your RNA is the factory where the body is being sculpted and manufactured. So yes, we are not our genes, we are not our brains. We are the user of the brain and the user of our genes, which are ultimately experiences in consciousness. They are symbols. The brain, the body, even the mind are symbols of ways of knowing, feeling, thinking, sensing the world, five senses. It's all very wonderful the way it's happening. The whole universe is participating in the creation of everything that's happening, both inside your body, inside your mind, and in your experience of the world.
You say in Superbrain that life isn't good by itself. You must respond to it as good. So it's kind of how you perceive things. So if our past experiences and conditioning color the lens through which we see the world, how do we change that lens if we're sick or if we're not happy with our reality?
Everybody has a conditioned mind, and that's what makes a person a person. So as soon as you're born, you're given a name, an identity, a culture, a religion, a nationality. It's essentially creating a fictional identity out of a field of infinite possibilities. So, when a baby is born, all it is experiencing is itself as everything it looks and hears and feels. And then, we come along and say, this is your name and that's a tree. And suddenly there's what we call a subject-object split, which is artificial. There's no me and the universe, because me is the activity of the universe. But as a result of our conditioning, which can be a result of our parents, our education, our religion, our culture, our history, our economics, we create an individual identity. Now, some people have a relatively good conditioning. The parents say, oh, you're a gift of the universe, you're the divine incarnation in this body, you will achieve extraordinary things and do wonderful things.